The quiet man with a hidden storm. The room was filled with laughter, the sound of glasses clinking, and the soft glow of birthday candles. But Keanu Reeves sat quietly in the corner, his smile gentle but his eyes distant, as if he carried a secret storm no one else could see. On this night, the world expected him to celebrate, yet inside he wrestled with thoughts that reached far beyond the lights and cheers. From the outside, Keanu's life looked perfect. He was admired, loved by fans, respected by everyone he met. People whispered about his kindness, his humility, how he always stopped to greet strangers with the same warmth he gave close friends. But what no one truly understood was the weight he carried in silence. Behind every smile, there was a story of pain, loss, and battles that tested his spirit again and again. As the candles flickered, Alexandra Grant leaned closer and whispered something that made him pause. Her words were not loud enough for anyone else to hear, but they touched him deeply. It was not a grand speech, not a public declaration, but a rare, private message of love. And in that moment, Keanu's eyes softened, as if she had reached the part of his heart he had kept locked away for so long. Yet even as joy filled the air, a shadow lingered. Keanu had learned that life could change in a single heartbeat. He had known tragedy, he had stood at gravesides, and he had walked through nights when he wondered if the pain would ever end. And though he now had Alexandra by his side, there was always the memory of battles fought alone, the resilience that had carried him when kindness from others felt far away. What kept him going was not fame, not wealth, but the simple belief that respect and kindness could still heal a broken world. He gave quietly, without cameras, without announcements. The stories of his generosity often spread only because strangers saw him doing what came natural, helping, listening, offering hope. As the party went on, his friends sang, and Alexandra smiled at him, but Keanu's thoughts drifted to the past. He remembered the nights when he had nothing, when people mocked him, when doors were closed in his face. He remembered the long bus rides, the auditions that ended in rejection, and the loneliness that could swallow a man whole. But then he looked around the room. He saw faces lit by hope, people who believed in him, people who were grateful simply because he had touched their lives with a kind word or a gentle gesture. And in that moment, he realized something powerful. His story was not just about loss, it was about resilience. It was about standing up again and again, even when the world tried to push him down. Keanu raised his glass, not to himself, but to everyone who had ever fought their own silent battles. And as he did, a hush fell over the room. He spoke softly, but every word carried weight. We are all here only for a short time. Let's make it kind. Let's make it count. The words sank deep into every heart. Alexandra reached for his hand, and for the first time that night, Keanu's smile was not distant. It was alive, full of light. But little did he know, this birthday would not just be a celebration. It would mark the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with unexpected trials, hidden truths, and choices that would test the very core of his spirit, because life, as Keanu knew too well, never allowed peace for long. The stranger at the edge of the crowd, the night after his birthday, Keanu walked alone through the quiet streets of Los Angeles. The party had ended, the candles had burned down, and the voices of friends had faded into memory. Yet his mind refused to rest. There was something about Alexandra's message, something about the way her words had touched him that kept echoing inside. She had told him, "Your kindness saves more people than you realize." He wondered if it was true. Could simple kindness really change lives? Could a man who had lost so much still give enough to heal others? As he walked past a small cafe, he noticed a young man sitting alone at a table outside. His clothes were worn, his head buried in his hands, and beside him sat a backpack that looked like it carried his whole world. Something about the scene pulled Keanu closer. He slowed down, then stopped, and for a moment he debated with himself. Most people would keep walking, but Keanu wasn't most people. "You all right?" he asked softly. The young man lifted his head, startled. His eyes were tired, red from holding back tears. "Do I look all right?" he muttered, his voice heavy with anger and shame. Keanu didn't take offense. He pulled out the chair across from him and sat down. "Sometimes," he said gently, "the strongest people look the weakest. right before they rise again. The man frowned. You don't even know me. No, Keanu said, but I know pain, and I know what it feels like when you think no one sees you. The man's shoulders shook. Slowly he began to speak. His name was Liam. He had lost his job, his home, and was now living out of that backpack. He confessed he had thought about ending everything, but something always stopped him at the last moment. It feels like the world doesn't care if I'm here or not, he whispered. Keanu listened, not rushing him, not offering pity, only respect. You see, then he said, maybe the world doesn't always notice, but that doesn't mean you don't matter. Sometimes one person is enough to remind us we're still alive. Silence hung between them. Liam looked at him as if trying to decide whether to believe him. Then, almost in disbelief, Liam asked, Why are you even talking to me? Keanu gave a small smile. Because someone once sat down with me when I thought I was invisible, and it changed everything. I'm just passing it on. The cafe owner came out, surprised to see Keanu Reeves sitting there. He offered them both coffee. Keanu paid for it without hesitation, slipping extra bills into the man's hand to cover a hot meal for Liam. As they sat there, drinking quietly, Liam's shoulders seemed to loosen, his breathing calmer, as if for the first time in months he wasn't completely alone. But deep inside, Keanu felt a strange unease. Meeting Liam didn't feel like chance. It felt like a thread of fate had been pulled, leading him into something larger, something he couldn't yet see. And as he stood to leave, Liam grabbed his sleeve. You don't know this, but you just saved me tonight, he said, voice trembling. Keanu placed a hand on his shoulder. Then promise me something. When you're stronger, save someone else. He walked away into the night, unaware that this simple encounter would soon unravel into a chain of events filled with shocking truths, hidden dangers, and choices that would test not just his kindness, but his very resilience. Because sometimes saving a stranger meant stepping into a storm you never expected. The phone call that changed everything. 2 days passed since Keanu met Liam outside the cafe. He kept thinking about the young man, wondering if he had found a place to sleep, if he had eaten again, if hope was still holding him up. Alexandra noticed the way Keanu's eyes seemed far away and asked gently, Is something on your mind? He only said, Just someone I met who reminded me of myself. But on the third night, the silence was broken by a phone call. It came late, when the city outside was quiet and even the stars looked tired. Keanu almost ignored the unknown number, but something inside told him to answer. A shaky voice whispered through the line. It was Liam. I don't know who else to call, Liam said. They're after me. Keanu sat up instantly. Who's after you? Liam's breathing was fast, frightened. I shouldn't have told you anything. I thought I was just unlucky, but it's worse than that. I stumbled into something. People. Powerful people. I saw things I wasn't supposed to, and now they won't let me go. Keanu felt a chill. He wanted to believe it was fear exaggerating reality, but the desperation in Liam's voice was too raw. Where are you? Keanu asked firmly. Downtown, near the station. Please. I don't think I'll make it through the night. Without hesitation, Keanu grabbed his jacket and keys. Alexandra, seeing the urgency on his face, touched his arm. Do you want me to come? He shook his head. Not tonight. I don't know what I'm walking into. The drive through the city was a blur of lights and shadows. Keanu's mind raced. He wasn't a hero in a movie tonight. He was just a man trying to keep his word. He had promised Liam that he mattered, and now that promise was being tested. When Keanu arrived at the station, the streets were nearly empty, but he spotted Liam near a broken streetlight, clutching his backpack, looking over his shoulder. Here every few seconds, Keanu approached carefully. Liam, he called softly. Liam spun around, relief flooding his face. You came. Of course I came, Keanu said. Tell me what happened. Before Liam could speak, the sound of footsteps echoed from the alley behind them. Dark shapes moved in the shadows, 3 men stepping forward with heavy steps, their eyes fixed on Liam. There he is, one of them muttered. Keanu placed himself between Liam and the men. His voice was calm but firm. You don't need to do this. The tallest man smirked. Stay out of it, Reeves. This isn't your fight. But Keanu didn't move. He knew fear when he saw it, and he could feel Liam trembling behind him. Everything is my fight, Keanu said quietly, when someone's life is at stake. The men closed in, and the night grew colder. What Keanu didn't know was that this moment would set off a chain of events far more dangerous than he imagined, because Liam's secret wasn't just about survival. It was about something that could shake the lives of everyone it touched, including Keanu's own. The fight in the shadows, the air was heavy, the silence broken only by footsteps drawing closer. 3 men circled Keanu and Liam under the dim streetlight. Liam clutched his backpack tighter, his breath sharp as if one wrong move would end everything. Keanu stood firm. His voice was calm but filled with quiet strength. You don't want to do this. Walk away. The tallest man laughed. You think your name can protect him? This kid saw something he shouldn't. We can't let that go. Liam's voice cracked. I didn't mean to. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. The men didn't care. One of them lunged forward, trying to grab Liam. Keanu reacted instantly. He moved with the same sharp focus that had carried him through years of training, not for movies this time, but for life itself. He blocked the man's arm, pushed him back, and planted his feet firmly between Liam and danger. Run, Keanu told Liam quietly. I can't leave you, Liam whispered. Then stay behind me, Keanu said. The alley exploded into chaos. Fists swung, footsteps echoed, and the smell of sweat and fear filled the night. Keanu didn't fight with rage. He fought with control. He dodged one attacker, shoved another into the wall, and caught the third man's wrist before it could strike Liam. But the men weren't amateurs. They fought with purpose, as if trained, as if someone powerful had sent them. Keanu realized quickly this wasn't about a simple mistake. Liam had stumbled into something darker, something connected to dangerous people who wanted their secrets buried. After several minutes, the sound of police sirens wailed in the distance. The men cursed under their breath and fled into the shadows, disappearing as quickly as they had appeared. Keanu stood breathing heavily, his shirt torn, his knuckles raw. Liam shook, clutching the backpack as though it held his last chance at life. Keanu put a steady hand on his shoulder. It's over for now, but you need to tell me the truth. What did you see? Liam hesitated, his eyes darting left and right as if the walls themselves had ears. I was cleaning offices at night just to get extra money. One of the buildings downtown. I saw men carrying boxes into a locked room. Papers, files, hard drives. I didn't think much of it until I overheard a conversation. They were talking about moving money. Millions. And people being paid to stay quiet. It sounded like corruption at the highest level. I made a mistake. I looked inside one of the boxes. His voice dropped to a whisper. And I took something. Keanu froze. What did you take? Liam slowly opened his backpack and pulled out a small flash drive. It looked harmless, but the way he held it was like a man carrying fire in his hands. This, Liam said, trembling, has everything. Proof of who they are. Proof of what they've done. If they lose this, they lose everything. That's why they won't stop until I'm gone. Keanu stared at the flash drive, realizing in that moment that his promise to help Liam had dragged him into a battle far bigger than either of them imagined. The sirens grew louder. Keanu looked at Liam. Then we need to keep you alive, and we need to decide who we can trust, because once the wrong people know we have this, there will be no turning back. In the distance, the shadows seemed to move again, as if more eyes were already watching. The real storm was only beginning. The weight of the flash drive, Keanu drove Liam back to his home that night, his mind racing. He knew the flash drive was more than a piece of plastic. It was a key that could open doors to truth, or to destruction. As they entered the quiet house, Alexandra met them at the door. She looked at Keanu's torn shirt, his bruised hands, and the fear on Liam's face. What happened? She asked sharply. We don't have time to explain everything, Keanu said, lowering his voice. But this boy is in danger. And now maybe we are too. Liam sat at the table, holding the flash drive as if it were the last piece of his soul. Alexandra brought him water, her calm presence softening the storm in the room. Slowly, Liam explained everything again. The night job, the locked rooms, the overheard conversations, the files he saw, and finally, the drive he had taken. Alexandra listened carefully. Then she looked at Keanu with steady eyes. "You can't go to the police. Not yet. If what he says is true, then some of them might already be involved." Keanu nodded. He had thought the same thing. Corruption had a way of spreading into places where justice was supposed to live. Liam's hands trembled. "I should have destroyed it. I should have left it there." "No," Keanu said firmly. "You did the right thing. The truth matters, but the truth is dangerous, and it needs to be handled carefully." For a moment, silence filled the room. Keanu stared at the flash drive, remembering all the times in his own life when he had been forced to face impossible choices. The world had tested him again and again, taking people he loved, breaking pieces of his heart. But it had also taught him something. Strength was not about being fearless, it was about standing tall even when fear tried to drown you. "So, what do we do now?" Liam asked, his voice desperate. Keanu leaned back, his eyes thoughtful. "We don't run. The running only makes them stronger. We protect this, and we find someone we can trust. Someone outside the system. Someone who can help us bring the truth into the light." Alexandra placed her hand gently over his. "But it will put you at risk." Keanu looked at her with quiet determination. "Risk is part of life. If we do nothing, they win. If we stand, maybe someone else gets the chance to live free." As he spoke, a sudden noise shattered the stillness, a window breaking at the back of the house. Liam jumped, nearly dropping the flash drive. Keanu moved fast, signaling them to stay quiet. Footsteps echoed inside the house. Shadows shifted. Someone had found them. Keanu whispered, "Hide the drive now." Liam stuffed it deep inside his backpack. Alexandra pulled him toward the pantry. Keanu grabbed the nearest object, a heavy wooden chair, and stood ready in the dark. The sound of doors creaking open filled the silence. A voice, cold and steady, called out, "You can't protect him, Reeves. Give us what we want, and maybe we'll let you all walk away." Keanu's jaw tightened. His heart pounded, not with fear, but with the familiar fire of resilience. He whispered to himself, "I've faced worse storms than you." But deep inside, he knew this was no ordinary fight. This was the moment when kindness, courage, and fate collided, and the choice he made next would decide not only his life, but the lives of everyone in that room. The door handle began to turn. The final stand, the door creaked open, and heavy boots stepped into the room. Shadows moved across the walls as two men entered, their faces hidden beneath dark caps. Keanu stood tall, gripping the chair in his hands, his body ready, his heart steady. Alexandra and Liam held their breath in the pantry, praying for silence, but fear throbbed in the air like a drum. "We know you have it," one of the men said coldly. "Hand it over, Reeves. No one has to get hurt." Keanu's voice was calm, but his eyes burned. "You came into the wrong home. Leave now, or you won't like what happens next." The men laughed. One stepped closer. "You're not in a movie now. This is real. Be smart." In that instant, Keanu moved. The chair swung with force, shattering against the intruder's chest, knocking him back. The second man lunged forward, grabbing Keanu, but years of discipline and control carried him. He twisted free, pushed the man into the wall, and shouted, "Alexandra, Liam, go!" Alexandra pulled Liam out the back door as the fight raged inside. Fists struck, glass shattered, and the sound of struggle filled the night. Keanu fought with every ounce of strength, not out of rage, but out of love. For the boy who needed a second chance, for Alexandra who believed in him, and for the truth that could not be silenced. Finally, with one last surge of power, he knocked both men down. They scrambled to their feet, bleeding, furious. But the sound of sirens cut through the night air. Someone had called the police, maybe a neighbor, maybe fate itself. The men cursed and fled into the darkness, leaving behind the weight of their failure. Keanu staggered outside, his breath heavy, his shirt torn again. Alexandra ran to him, her eyes full of fear and love. "Are you all right?" He nodded, though pain rippled through his body. "It's not over," he said quietly. "They'll keep coming, until the truth is out." Liam stepped forward, holding the backpack tightly. His face was pale, but his voice was stronger than before. "I can't run anymore. This is bigger than me. But if I stand, maybe it matters. Maybe it saves someone else." Keanu placed a steady hand on his shoulder. "That's all any of us can do. Stand when it counts. The rest? The rest is life." Together, with Alexandra's help, they found a trusted journalist, someone known for uncovering corruption without fear. The flash drive was delivered, the files exposed, and the truth spread like fire. Headlines filled the news, names of powerful men revealed, crimes uncovered, justice set in motion. Weeks later, Liam found work again, this time in a safer place, his life slowly rebuilding. He often repeated the words Keanu had told him that first night. "Sometimes one person is enough to remind us we're still alive." And Keanu? He returned quietly to his life, never seeking credit, never standing in the spotlight. But those who knew whispered about the night he risked everything for a stranger, how his resilience, his humility, and his kindness turned despair into hope. On his next birthday, Alexandra smiled at him across the table and whispered again, "Your kindness saves more people than you realize." This time Keanu believed it, because he had seen it with his own eyes. And so, the quiet man with the hidden storm proved once again that true strength is not in fame, not in fortune, but in choosing kindness, even when it costs everything.